From one Anders to another Anders, it's going to be a very interesting presentation. I've heard that semiconductors is somewhat on everyone's topic right now, so we'll leave it over to you.
Thank you very much. So my name is Anders Storm. I'm the Group CEO of Sivers Semiconductors, and I'm happy to be here today. And we're going to have sort of a bit of a technical focus. It's a technical seminar, but going to tell you also a bit about the background of the company. So if we look, Sivers Semiconductors is a company who has been working in two different verticals. One is in the wireless vertical, and the other one is in photonics. And the wireless vertical, we're doing 5G chipsets. And in the photonics vertical, we're doing lasers and light sources for different applications. So I'm going to tell you more about that. The company was recently listed on the mid-cap NASDAQ. Before that, we've been on NASDAQ First North. Today, the company is about 126 people. We were 100 people actually when we started this year. We have a lot of very well-educated personnel doing these really high-tech solutions. We have over 20 PhDs today. Our main office is in Kista, and we also have our photonics business in Glasgow and an R&D office in Gothenburg. However, recently we also did an acquisition of MixComm, and we signed a deal here in October, and we are now waiting for closing, which will probably happen in Q1 due to US regulations called CFIUS. But this is also a transformative acquisition for us. We're changing the company from being sort of a European-based company to a more US-based company, which is extremely important. We will go to about 145 employees. We will also add another 20 PhDs into the company. And we're also adding a quite interesting mix of new products, and we are increasing the addressable market within the sort of the 5G and high frequency called millimeter wave products, and increasing the number of design wins from 26 today to 44 and so forth. So this is a very important step for us, adding an office outside of New York and also one in San Diego. So the journey over the last 5 years has been very interesting. When I started in 2015 and then took over as a CEO in 2016, we were on Aktietorget still. We were only like 20 employees. We had a turnover about 18 million kronor. We are today a company of almost 140 people now, and we have a turnover of 100 million. We created a lot of new products. We now acquired 2 companies. First of all, CST Global in 2017, which is now our photonics business. And we also acquired now MixComm lately. And we've done a journey via sort of Aktietorget, First North, and now also to the main list. And we have accelerated the number of customers. We have 26 design wins. We have a lot of Fortune 100 customers in our photonics business and so forth. So now a video.
Today, broadband and being connected is equally important as water and electricity. Without reliable technology, there will be impact on your everyday life. At worst, with devastating consequences. Sivers Semiconductors is a vital link in the chain to secure a connected and safer world. With small, efficient products and strong commitment, we achieve great things. With focus on semiconductor technology, our passion goes from innovation at every stage, all the way to our customers' success. It's a passion for customers, products, and technologies, and how they contribute to a more connected and safer world. That's us, passionate, at the heart of innovation.
So that tells you a little bit about how important technology is now and also even more in the future. It's going to be a safety issue with cars. It's going to be sort of the connectivity you need to live and breathe and everything in the future. So by that, our sort of technology is addressing this by sort of the telecom and data communication within 5G and photonics within sensors and datacom and so forth. We are addressing two really large markets with a quite great total addressable market and a growth potential in these markets are everything from 40 to 100% per year. Looking at, for example, the fixed wireless access market we're addressing with our 5G chipsets, it's going to grow, over 80% going forward, and so forth. Also, with the acquisition of MixComm, we are addressing a lot of new markets, like the SATCOM, radar market, and also in the future, the handsets and so forth in this. So it is also quite important in the future that all the connectivity that we're going to have is going to range from satellites, 5G, lasers, and fiber and so forth. And that's where we want to be. We want to address those markets and be one of the technology leaders in this. And what are we doing? What kind of chips are we doing to do that? So we're doing chipsets. So example, here is sort of the wide variety of chipsets that MixComm has, everything from sort of chipsets that called beamformers, that's sending out the technology out into the air. We have SATCOM chipsets. We do repeaters that we can send information and reduce the cost of the 5G network. We also have algorithms to make it even better. The current Sivers portfolio is doing chipsets for everything from home units, for wireless broadband, for track-to-train applications, for different types of 5G applications, everything ranging from unlicensed to licensed 5G. So we're covering quite a wide area in the 5G sense. So here is one example, is one of our biggest customers, Adtran, who is a US-based company. They've started the rollout recently with their small cells and home units where we are inside. These are some of their customers. They are building up. I think there's sort of 6, 7 of them here, and they are winning constantly more customers. And since we are being a component company, we are sort of living off that they are winning more and more business. And this company has sort of customers in 68 different countries, ranging from the largest one, which is called Tier 1s, all the way down to service providers in Tier 3 size. Another customer we have, which is now rolling out their products and doing proof of concepts, it's Cambium, another US-based company from Chicago. Very interesting product that they have developed, and that's now going out to the market. They also have a very big network of customers. They have 17,000 network operators around the world, 10,000 channel partners. All of this is where we're going to see, in the future, a way of winning this kind of business. And what kind of product is it? It's sort of everything from SATCOM terminals to satellites. It's base stations for 5G. It's home units. It's repeaters. It's also track-to-train and transportation or radars and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of different applications where we can use the same kind of chipset and be able to sort of leverage the factor of growing in that sense. Also in our photonics business, we're making laser chipsets in different type of applications. And here we're using other technology than the semiconductors we're using in our 5G business. It's indium phosphide and other type of technologies, and they can be used for everything of being a light source into a fiber to the home or a data center, or what we lately have a very interesting project with AR Labs, where we're doing actually optical I/O inside high-speed computers. Another area we've been really successful is within the sensor business, where you can use different sensors, and where you're sending light out into the air, and you can measure different type of things, molecules in the air, fingerprints, face recognition, that kind of stuff. And that's where we won lately two Fortune 100 customers. I've been working with them, one for 3 years and one for sort of the last year. And here you can see some of that work we've been doing. So this large Fortune 100 customer, which is a really big technology company who's building products for consumer electronics, they invested over 100 million now in 2 different products that we're working on, which is going to be one product. and we expect this to come to fruition as soon as possible, and we really hope to see this going into volume production. And first, we're doing what's called pilot lines. The other customer is more of R&D. They had the product with us for a year ago, and they are now evaluating that technology and so forth. And we're seeing even more Fortune 100 customers now on the west coast of the US that are very interested in this kind of technology and also how silicon photonics can be used. So here is another example, which is a very exciting project that we just signed with a company called AR Labs. They are sort of the #1 top company when it comes to a new technology to send light within computers instead of sending electricity over copper, which has sort of reached the wall now when it comes to Moore's law. So here you can actually send light between the CPUs and the GPUs within the computer in the future, and that's going to reduce the electricity by almost 90%, and it's also going to give you an opportunity to actually advance Moore's law, so you can send terabit speeds within the computers, and that is what is needed in the sort of high-speed computing in the future. This is a very large ecosystem that is now growing up around silicon photonics, where we are doing the photonics part of the silicon, and we have partners like IMEC, AR Labs, Global Foundries, and others around this. So with this technology, you can do sort of the optical communications and all of that I talked about. You can also do radar type of things with light called LiDAR, and you can do all of these biosensing things that we talked about around the Fortune 100s. So this is an ecosystem where we're now sort of growing and going in deeper to. We're also working on this sort of sustainable future, and I already mentioned, you know, the 90% reduction using light instead of electricity over copper. We're doing this constantly with other type of technologies, and our part in this is, of course, to try to reduce the energy consumption by 50 to 90% by using different type of technologies here. And this is a part we will start working on more and more, and try to also get it out to the market for the understanding of what we are doing as a sustainable company for the future. So what have happened over the last year? It's been quite an interesting year for us. We've sort of added 5 new design wins within our 5G business. We have a total of 26 now. Including MixComm, we have 44, where we're seeing sort of a lot of them coming to volume next year. We also got orders from this Fortune 100 customer of 25 million this year. We got our first volume order for 5G, which is quite interesting now that we're getting into volume. We've been growing the company in Q2, Q3 on the 5G side by 66% in sales. We were also approved for trading on NASDAQ main list and went directly into the mid-cap segment. We also started a very interesting partnership with IMEC and ASM around silicon photonics. And if you're really interested in that, please go to our website and look at the Capital Markets Day we just had 5-6 weeks ago. Very interesting presentations by IMEC on that one. We're also seeing a long-term customer in Japan, Fujikura, coming to mass market. We're negotiating contract with them as we speak. We're opening up our first US person in photonics now there, and as well as increasing now with MixComm. We're also launching our next generation 5G chipset. You cannot just live on what you have, but we're also looking to do that, and that's part of this big order we have for 2023 and so forth. We also have the contract with AR Labs, which is quite interesting. And of course, the acquisition of MixComm that we just did, as well as the sort of a $45 million direct share issue in conjunction with that acquisition, both to the cash portion of that acquisition, but also to further grow the company. And I mean, we've gone from 100 to 140 people now and are really tracking for a very interesting year in 2022 and 2023 forward. And we're really looking to sort of build this company up so we can have a long-term, interesting company to grow and grow with the market. So that is all I had. So thank you very much for listening.
And thank you very much for presenting. Excellent presentation and great wrap-up. Well, we have some questions that I will go through, but the most obvious one that you of course, are mentioning throughout all presentations, all dialogues, etc. But let me just put it out there. Would you just be able to elaborate a little bit about how the semiconductor crisis has affected the company?
Yeah. So from the beginning, it was quite sort of okay, but now just recently, and the two customers I actually showed you here, both Cambium and Adtran, have themselves flagged now for the issues. And of course, being in the middle of a ramp up with those customers, it's not the best situation to be in. So they are affected in how much volume they can get out because there are other components in the boxes they are selling. It could be everything from a sort of an oscillator to whatever, and that is, of course, hindering them to grow and so forth. And we're seeing that sort of, I would say, plus 6 months or something like that, and that's what Adtran is telling the market as well. So, of course, it's not optimal in any way to have a pandemic and also now sort of component issues in the middle of your own sort of growth phase. We grow 20% in the third quarter anyway, and we grow about 118% with our 5G business in the second quarter. However, it's giving us some concerns, of course. But we're looking, further out. It's not quarter by quarter. It's like 1, 2, 3 years. That's where you're going to see the change, and everything we have invested in and everything we're doing is sort of focusing on that.
So what we're hearing is that you're here for the long run, and well, the current growth is very nice. It's nice figures, but you want more, which is excellent to hear. Very nice ambitions. So moving over then and talking about the acquisition of Mixcom, one question was, what synergies do you expect other than growing customers, growing staff, etc., and what plans are there for future M&A activities?
Yeah. So Mixcom is an extremely important acquisition for us. First of all, they've been one of the few competitors that has sort of really challenged us in some of the RFQs we've done. So it's very nice to get them into the family and stop that sort of. Another thing is, of course, that they are located very close to one of the foundries, Global Foundries foundry in upstate New York, and also Global Foundries is actually an owner part of that, so they will become an owner of us, and of course having that relationship with your supplier and the most important supplier as well, because they have been our supplier as well, is going to be extremely important for us. As well as I think we've been sort of trying now to hire people in the US and get into the US, and US being the first market and the first moving advantage in all these markets we're working on, getting that footprint in there and getting sort of 20 highly educated people coming from, Columbia University, Oregon University, professors, PhDs, that's going to be fundamentally good for us, I think.
Excellent. So quick entrance to the US is what we're hearing.
Absolutely.
So moving over, you mentioned, as we are in the US, you mentioned West Coast. We have mentioned Silicon Photonics. Would you tell us a little bit more about that? You mentioned first customer prototypes will be ready in...
Yeah, in Q4 now we're sort of seeing that the prototype's going to go to AR Labs. Yes.
All right. And when do you expect that this could be scaled up?
Yeah. So the AR Labs project is sort of a long-term one. I mean, they are working on the forefront of technology here and changing Moore's law. So depending on how you use the technology, there's 3 different steps. You have the sort of interconnect between the racks within sort of the data center. Then you have the switches, and then you have within the high-speed computer. So these are going to be in different steps. I think in the end of next year, possibly we're going to see the first sort of interconnect between computers. Then you have the next step is the switches, and then 3-4 years down the line, you will start seeing things with the really big volumes with inside computers, because that will require, Intel, which is one of the big investors in AR Labs, and NVIDIA and all of those guys to change the structure of their own sort of computing platforms, basically. So it's a bit longer, but that's sort of where we are going, and that's really the most exciting technology in my mind.
Still in a close future, but with a lot of things happening along the way.
Absolutely.
So I think the last question, unless anything else has come in through the chat now, is regarding other applications. Is there anything else identified that you would be able to do or planning to expand into?
Yeah, so what I'm seeing now with one of the acquisition of Mixcom is, of course, the whole SATCOM market. We're seeing, you know, Elon Musk and Amazon, Kuipers, all of those things are happening, and that's sort of a complementary business to all other connectivity from sort of fiber to the home to data centers to 5G and so forth. And being part of that really interesting ecosystem coming and growing, that I think is going to be one of the most exciting. And Mixcom already bringing in a customer with revenue already next year in this is going to be very exciting for us.
I think excitement will be the wrap-up of this presentation. So I would like to say thank you very much. We had the presentation here. We know where to follow you and how to contact you. And thank you very much. We'll be back shortly with the next presentation.